Thank you, Roderick. Accept this prayer of love in your heart. Accept this prayer of love in your heart. It's the reasons why we pray. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive away hatred. Only love can do that. Separation and more separation cannot dismantle separation. Only oneness can do that. Fear cannot drive away fear. Only love can do that. So really, the only thing we can do right now in this world as it is, because it just continues to be crazy and crazier, is love and light and oneness. It sounds easy, doesn't it? Maybe I should say it sounds simple, doesn't it? But when you think about it, and you think about it out in the world, and then you think about it in your own life, and then you think about it in the world between your ears, we have a little bit of work to do. Would you agree? I should maybe speak for myself. I have a little work to do. But today we kick off, actually yesterday, we kick off a 64-day season for nonviolence. And it is the window of time between the assassination of Gandhi and the assassination of Martin Luther King, 20 years difference, but we take those 64 days as a season for nonviolence. It started in, I believe, 1998, 98, and every single year, the Association for Global New Thought and the United Nations join together for a global awareness of nonviolence. And I think it's particularly apropos this year. Now, here's something that's sort of interesting. I keep going back. You know how Facebook gives you your memories? I don't know if that's the really good thing about Facebook or the not so good thing about Facebook. But I keep getting memories, and so I've got some things that have come up, and I'm actually in the process of creating an audio book for my book, so I'm reading that again. I wrote that about 5 years ago. And it's like our language is the same. It's like we're saying the same thing. We've been saying the same thing for a long time. We've been saying this too. But what if this is the year we get it? I think I've been saying that for 20 years. And yet we've made some progress. And part of what is happening is as we're flooding the world with more love and with more light, then we're seeing more of the shadows, right? We're starting to clean out the consciousness of humanity, and so everything unlike love is like bubbling up to the surface, either to be released, to be healed, to be forgiven, to be acknowledged, to be reconciled, or because it's being released. All of those things are part of it. Martin Luther King said, ultimately, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but rather where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. If we believe that there is but one presence and one power active in the universe, and it's God, and God is good all the time, and that every single person in the universe is an aspect of God, and every single person on the planet and in the universe has that potential of awakening the Christ presence within them, regardless of the religion, But that essence, which is the true essence within them, that is a being of love and oneness and kindness and compassion and innovation, if we believe that, not just with our brains and not just with our words, but we believed that with the cells of our being, our world would be different. And our world can be different today and tomorrow and the next day and this year and the next decade. And when we look at this season for nonviolence, we begin to look again at Gandhi and at Martin Luther King. And we begin to look again at their philosophies. And their philosophies, Gandhi, of course, was first. He lived, oops, I have my dates wrong in here. I don't remember when he was born, but he died in 1948. He was an Indian lawyer who employed nonviolent resistance to lead the successful campaign for India's independence, and who in turn inspired movements for civil rights and freedom across the world. And Martin Luther King was a minister who was inspired by Gandhi. And of course, we all know him as one of the best known activists for civil rights, for advancing civil rights through nonviolence. He was inspired not only by his Christian beliefs, but by Gandhi. He was inspired to approach an injustice in the world with a philosophy of nonviolence. Now, when I was thinking about this talk and thinking about this idea and playing with it, it works. I get a title, I get an idea, and it works, and it, turns me up, and, life usually gives me lots of material. There's a coffee cup meme that's going around through my minister's page, and it says, "Be careful what you say and what you do. You may be the topic of my next sermon." I love it. I'd like to, give it all my family and my friends. But one of my friends and colleagues and prayer partners, she called. We were talking yesterday, and Saturday is really that last kind of get your talk together. And she actually records hers on Saturday. She goes, "I'm getting ready to record, and I'm still struggling." I'm like, I can't reconcile what I say and what I teach with how the world is appearing. And I go, I know, right? But we were processed through that a little bit, and I said, well, maybe what our role is, maybe what our role is to create the space in consciousness, but also in time and in energy, create the space for people to come in and take a breath. So take a breath. Come in. Come on in. Come on in. I know there's nobody really here in the building, but come on in and take a breath. Take a collective breath. Like, what if for the next 20 minutes, you could relax? And we continued talking about what's going on, and she said, but I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And what came to us was the prayer for serenity, right? God can't grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the most important line, the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference. And so as we stand in this season for nonviolence, I invite us, I encourage us, I charge us, I challenge us to take on a deeper practice of nonviolence, to take it on, like put it, claim it. Say for 64 days, from now till April 4th, which happens to be Easter, by the way, from now till Easter, make a claim in yourself, for yourself, that you be a nonviolent presence in the world. So I was digging through, looking, searching, where does it fit today? And I was thinking I was really going to weave it with the principle of non-resistance. That was like my brilliant thought. I'm like, yes, that's exactly it. That's where I'm going to start. And then I went, wait a minute. It's a little bit different. So I went looking, and Mary King, who's part of the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, wrote an article. And she says this, she's about the season for nonviolence, but she said, a culture of peace is anything but a culture of passivity. Now, non-resistance is also not passive, but we're going to go with this for now. Nonviolence is a strategy for action, not inaction, and certainly not docility. It's forthright, courageous, disciplined, assertive, and as we all too often forget, remarkably successful. It's based on big ideas and overarching ethical imperatives communicated for all to see in everyday gestures. She goes on to talk about that at the basis of how nonviolent resistance operates is a Japanese philosophy called, I think it's jujitsu, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but the term is basically a philosophy of balance and how to navigate the knowledge of balance to overcome equilibrium. So when you practice nonviolence and you refuse to meet violence with more violence, you change the system. So there's this like reset. There's this moment of like, wait, what? I used to always talk about a story in one of the martial arts where if somebody's coming at you and instinctively you go back at them, but if somebody's coming at you, you actually move with them, and it throws off their balance. It's like that. But it's not that easy to do because we are so immersed in, let me just say our humanity, right? Our instantaneous, our automatic response is defense, is resistance, is like, no, like that. So the principle of nonviolence can begin to soften us, in a way that we become less reactive and therefore more responsive from that point of center, from that point of love, from that point of oneness. So how did we really get to where we are in the world today? How did we get so mired in other, in judgment, in resistance? Well, I found a story about a teacher who was teaching in her class about the Salem witch trials. Now, I'm not going to compare necessarily the Salem witch trials to anything else, but the principle and the example is really profound. So I want to share this story with you. The teacher was teaching about that time, and she told him they were going to play a game. So she said this, I'm going to go around to every student, probably high school students. I'm going to go around to every one of you, and I'm going to whisper in your ear whether you're a witch or a normal person. Now already, like, my body's going, ah, right? Your goal, then, is to build the largest group possible that does not have a witch in it. At the end, any group found to include a witch gets a failing grade. So you can feel that already, right? It's starting to churn up. So the teens dove into grilling each other, and one fairly large group formed, but most of the students broke into small, exclusive groups, turning away from everyone else. Turning away from anyone they even thought might have given off a hint of guilt, of witchness. Okay, the teacher said, you've got your groups. Time to find out which ones fail. All witches, please raise your hands. No one, not a single person, raised their hand. The kids were completely confused, and they told that teacher that he'd messed up the game. She'd messed up the game. I mixed pronouns. They messed up the game. And the teacher said, did I? Was anyone in Salem an actual witch? Or did everyone just believe what they'd been told? And that's how easy it is to divide a community. Just because you've been told that there is an other out there doesn't make it true. Even if it's on Facebook, and even if it's on TV, and even if it's on the newscasts, and even if it's your best friend telling you, what if there is no other? What if the other that we're fighting against, whatever that even means in your world, right? Whatever that even means. What if the other that you're fighting against is simply a thought process, a made up experience? What if it's only within? What if it's only about our work to recognize that we are but one humanity, but one world, but one planet? And in that oneness, we have to recognize equality for all, right? Those are the principles that Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. were teaching. Gandhi's philosophy, he had 5 things. He might have had more, but 5. First one was faith in God. Faith in the almighty presence that is, call it God or not. Truth, capital T, truth. Non-violence, love, and the ideal society. The ideal society that Gandhi talked about sounds exactly like what we're talking about now with the universal human and the new humanity now. The ideal society that Gandhi was leaning towards, was activating, was calling forth, was believing in, was a world that works for all people, where everyone is equal, where all are treated with love and kindness and equality and compassion, where there was not violence, but there was collaboration and innovation and beauty and joy and love and love and oneness and love. That sounds like new humanity. Martin Luther King, his basic premises were there were 3 triple evils, he called them. The triple evils in the world were poverty, racism, and militarism. He had 6 principles of nonviolence, including a new way of life for people of courage. He had 6 steps of nonviolent social change, including information gathering, education, personal commitment, negotiation, direct action, and reconciliation. That's one we kind of want to skip over, but it's so important. And he talked about as his 4th pillar, the benevolent community on a global scale. He talked about a society based on justice, equal opportunity, and love of one's fellow human. I find it fascinating. I think I probably knew it, but I find it fascinating as I've spent all this time this last year and a half and really decade and more talking about the universal human, talking about the next evolution of humanity, talking about new humanity now. And then I go back and it's like, wow, they're talking about the same thing. What if it's happening? What if it actually is happening? What if it is happening? And how cool would that be? So a joke. My husband he just rolls his eyes at my jokes. So he's watching on Facebook from my office right around the corner here now. Okay, anyway. So there was a man walking on a beach, and he came across a magic lamp. And he picked it up and he rubbed it, and out came a genie. And he said, "Oh, do I get some wishes?" And Genie goes, "Yeah, but it's been a really long time. I only got 1 in me. You don't get 3, just 1 wish." He goes, "What do you wish?" He goes, "I wish for peace in the Middle East and peace all over the world." The genie goes, "Oh, I don't know about that. That's like, I don't know if I can do that. What about a different wish? Don't you have another wish?" He's like, "Well, I do, actually. I just wish I could understand women." And the genie goes, okay, let's work on the piece. There's variations of that joke. I got a little laughter in the room, but, hopefully, yeah, anyway, got it. We have come here to be the glory of God make manifest on the world. We have come here to learn, to love, to express, to be that presence of God. We have come here to learn, to embody, to integrate, to bring forth a foundation of love and oneness as the very essence of our being. We've been living for millennia in separation, but we're learning, we're discovering that that's an illusion, and all that illusion is up in our face as we choose every single moment. The new consciousness is here, the new humanity is here, but it's not here. It's like, it's here. And you access it and you touch it. You touch it, hopefully, often. But the more often that you touch it, the quicker that we begin to build new neural pathways and new states of being around it. Jesus taught it. Jesus taught it. And that wasn't like yesterday, right? Some 2,000 and some years ago. We are the presence of God from 1 John. If you know love, you know God. If you know God, you know love, for they are one and the same. But it's not a love that goes, let me see what you did today. Oh, no, you did that thing over there. I don't love you today. It's not that. It's not, I love you because you're behaving the way I want you to behave. Oh, sometimes I wish it were that. But it's not that. It is a pure essence of being. It is an embodiment of the very presence that we call God or source or spirit. It is that activation of a higher level of consciousness that says, yes, I know we have differences. Yes, I know there is strife in the world, and I stand for a world that works for all people. And in my stand, I may be called to action. But if we are taking on for 64 days, and I hope that's long enough to build a habit. Some say it takes 40 days, some say it takes 21, so we've added them together just in case. That 64 days means watch your thought. Watch what comes out of your mouth. Watch where you are violent in some way, shape, or form, because not only do we have the worlds and the wars out there in the world, we have the wars in our own country between everybody who's got a different opinion. It's all about division and separation, but we also have the wars between our own ears. We have the wars in our own head. We have the violence that we offer to our own selves, right? When you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you go, oh my God, that's a war, that's violent, right? Begin to look in the mirror and go, wow, I can see love. Oh, you might have to start with, I can see room for improvement, but I love you just the way you are, right? But we begin where we are. Not with fighting against the darkness or the hatred or the division, but by taking a stand that says, I know the truth. I might not see how it plays out, but I know the truth. That with God, all things are possible, that we can activate the deeper layers of being, that we can rise above the level of anger and reactivity and judgment, because anger and reactivity and judgment are spirals that take us down deep into the density that make it more difficult to find the love, because we see the evidence to the contrary. But we are called because we're here. Because we're here, because you're listening, you're called. We are called right here and right now to rise above. That's not bury your head in the sand, right? That's not ignore what's going on in the world. It's to choose truth, What were Gandhi's principles? Faith in God, truth, nonviolence, love, and the ideal society, to choose it again and again and again and again and again, and do what is yours to do to activate it. But I promise you, it won't come by trying to violently get rid of anything else. It will come by opening, by softening, by expanding our awareness into love, into compassion, to get that we don't get it. It's okay to get that we don't get it. Are you tracking me there? I get that I don't get it. I don't understand. I can't relate, but I can activate in me a spaciousness that holds, that I don't see how. But ultimately, I know that all of us have the same needs. All of us have the same desires, which is to be part of the beloved community, to know that we are safe and worthy and healthy and whole and abundant, to know that we have value and that all people together have value. Unity has a statement of nonviolence, I think, statement for peace, I think they call it. We adopted it in 2004. It says, unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, and for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, and the many ways of worshiping God, for we know that there is but one presence and power, that is God, and that God loves us all equally. It's credited to Dr. Gary Simmons, but he says this. He goes, I gave a different statement of peace initially, but they didn't adopt it, but I'm going to share it with you anyway, so please forgive me. This is Gary's words, not mine. Unity stands for not blowing up stuff or killing people. Stuff had a different word. It started with an S, but, I can't say it because I'm mic'd. Unity stands for not blowing up stuff and killing people. Unity stands for there's one presence and one power. We're all part of that. We are one, and love is the way, and love is the pathway, and love is that one and only most important thing. So here's a practice. I want to give you this practice. An easy way to begin to put this into your work is to choose a word and do daily contemplation on it. Do daily meditation on it. Choose a word like love or equality or compassion or oneness or kindness, or choose a word. Just choose a word. I wouldn't choose nonviolence because it's got that double connotative, but you could choose peace, you could choose expansion, you could choose acceptance, any word like that. And put it into your daily practice. Contemplate it. Contemplate it, and then activate it. Like, what does that feel like? Recognize, identify the vibrational frequency that that word has, and then be it, and then beam it. So I have an image. I want to share this. This is a little girl. Obviously, it's a little girl. It was on Facebook. I didn't write down. Anyway, it's on one of those, positive, proactive things. And the mom sent this in, and she said, "This is my little girl." And I saw her doing this. The paper she's standing on is hearts. And she said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm sending love and peace to all of the world, and to make the monsters nice." And I thought about not saying "and make the monsters nice," but we all have monsters in our bodies, in our minds, in our lives, in the world. And what if we simply were that presence of love and peace? She wasn't like shooting it out, right? Like, whew, like let's fix that, but more emanating. I'm sending love and peace to all, to the world, and to the monsters, to make them nice. Not about changing anybody necessarily, But let's take this as our practice, and let's take it now for a few moments in a time of meditation. So take a deep breath in. And as we close our outer eyes, I invite you to find the place within you of non-resistance. To find the place within you where there can be a softening, a spaciousness. Find the place within you of nonviolence. And choose that word. Choose that word that you're going to take this week and hold it in your hands. Mouth it. Feel it on your tongue. And as you hold it in your hands, begin to feel what that word feels like. I'm going to use love, but use your word. As that presence of love, the vibrational frequency of love, the palpable experience of love fills your hands, notice the other qualities. If it has a color or a scent or a shape or a texture. And place that from your hands right into your heart. And as you do so, feel an energetic shift in your being. Like let your body receive it. And as we focus on it, as we place it into our beings, feel it activated. Feel it expanding. Feel it overflowing your heart, overflowing your torso. And with your eyes still closed, look up like the image of that little girl. Place your hands on your heart. Let a smile come to your face. And expand this field of love. Expand it out beyond your body, through your room, through your home or the building you're in. Feel it expanding and reaching out. Every other person who is watching this right now, live or on the recording, feel it combining. Feel the power of the collaborative, collective. And feel that expanding out. And if you want, expand your arms out. And feel this love, this very palpable presence of love. Feel it expanding so far that it fills our country, that it encircles our globe, that it enfolds our planet. Bring those hands back to your heart, face up to the sun, and simply for a few moments, bask, embody, beam, or send love to our planet, to our world, to the monsters, which is just anybody and anything that causes fear or misunderstanding. The monsters in the world, the monsters in your life, the monsters between your ears. Allow yourself to become the very presence of this love, the embodiment, the integration of it. And as we send it out, we gift it freely, and it encircles you, comes right back down, open and receive the blessing of this very love that you be. Love is the way. Love is the answer. Love is God, source, spirit, creation. And love is you. Say to yourself, I am love. I choose love. I be love. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.